Here are my top 20 rares from Foundations that are not reprints, and I think they're quite good. Aysal Harvester, 3 mana, 3/2, tap it, exile a creature from your graveyard that was put there this turn. And then you create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a nightmare, and then you exile all the other nightmares. So yeah, stick whatever you want in your graveyard with Buried Alive or Entomb. And all of a sudden you're cooking with gas. Get your best creature in there, and then you just make a copy of it. If you want your, I don't know, Grizzlewald or Grizzlebrand, that's it. In not Commander, you can do that. Put that in there, and then boom. You got all the cards you want, and then you win. Anthem of Champions, green and a white enchantment. It's just an anthem. Creatures you control get +1/+1. This is probably the most efficient anthem that's out there. And there's other anthems out there that give your creatures +1/+1. But like Favorable Winds only give your creatures with flying +1/+1. And then Honor of the Pure gives only white creatures +1/+1. So being able to give all your creatures 1/1 for just 2 mana is really good in the exact colors you want it to be in. Fantastic card. A Robo, the first Fang. This guy looks so freaking nuts. All these other lions are bowing down to him. He's so cool. Other cats you control get +1/+1, speaking of anthems. And whenever here another non-token cat enters, you'll create a 1/1 cat. And now you can be your mono white commander if you didn't like the original Robo. Archmage of Runes. Instants and sorceries you cast cost 1 less to cast, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, draw a card. I feel like we needed another one of these since the last guy that did that. But yeah, 3/6 as well, on top of being a giant and a wizard, and then making all your things that you want to cast cost less. Yeah, I really like this thing. Banner of Kinship. This is awesome. When it enters, you choose a creature type, and then this artifact enters with a fellowship counter on it for each creature you control of the chosen type. In this case, mice in the picture. But creatures you control of the chosen type get 1/1 for each fellowship counter on it. So you can proliferate this, make it bigger, and it's a little different and probably better than Door of Destinies, honestly, if you've already got an army. I mean, they both have their place, and I think it depends on what you're doing and how you're accomplishing your goals. But when Door of Destiny enters, you create a creature, you choose a creature type, and then you have to cast the spell to get the charge counter on it, and then it gets more and more charge counters from there. But Banner of Kinship immediately enters with all the counters, as long as you have the creatures, and then just all your creatures get that bonus. So really cool. This could be a finisher if you play your cards right. All right, now we got Blasphemous Edict. Everybody's talking about this thing, just directly from Blasphemous Act. Are very similar to. I wonder if they're going to put a blasphemous thing in each color. Edict, of course, sacrificing creatures from that card. And you can pay it black rather than playing this spell's mana cost if there are 13 or more creatures in the battlefield, similar to Blasphemous Act. And then each player sacrifices 13 creatures. Definitely better than Act, but I mean, it's in black. This thing's bonkers. It's so good. Oh, man. What's not to like? Crystal Barricade is just a really cool wall. It's a 2 mana 0/4 with Defender that gives you hexproof, which is already pretty neat. And then you prevent all non-combat damage that will be dealt to other creatures you control. So you just block all that extra, I don't know, Terror of the Peaks damage, or is that the right card? I don't know. It's one of those dragons that deals Bogard and Hellkite. I think that's the one. Probably wrong, but anyway, it deals the damage, prevent all that damage for 2 mana. Drake Hatcher, this thing's nuts. 2 mana, prowess, right? Just the prowess is good, but then she's got vigilance on top of it, which is even better. And then whenever this creature does combat damage to a player, you put that many incubation counters on it. And then you can remove 3 incubation counters from it to create a 2/2 Drake with flying. Again, proliferate this, make extra things. When you swing, do a bunch of non-creature spells, and you've got more damage that goes through, and then you get even more Drakes, and then you don't have to tap her to get the 2/2 Drake either, so you can just keep making them if you can. So good. All right, Dropkick Bomber as a Groblin. Other Goblins you control get +1/+1, and then you can pay a red and give another goblin you control flying. But then when it deals combat damage, you sacrifice it, because you're just chucking your goblin. You know, do something like Moria Marauder. Whenever an orc or goblin deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library and you can play it. So that gives you some synergy. I guess you don't sacrifice this one, but you can. You do the thing, because it's just red mana. You don't have to tap this thing. You could just give all your goblins flying, and then Moria Marauder is just whenever your things deal. So you just impulse draw, and then you throw this in something like Muxus Goblin Grandee. So you're getting lots and lots of goblins, and stuff like that. And it's really fun. I really like it. Electro Duplicate. You can create a token that's a copy of a creature you control, except the game it has haste, and at the beginning of your next end step, or the next end step, sacrifice this token. Pretty awesome. Just making something big for the turn, or not big, but just copy your thing, whatever you want to do. And then it's got flashback, which can't ever be overlooked. Homunculus Horde, of course, everybody's talking about this. Fibblethip's cousins, I suppose. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a token that's a copy of this creature. Oh man, it's so cool. It's each turn too, and that's really cool. And so each turn you could potentially have, or each turn cycle you could potentially have 3 extras, and then you can play something like Echoing Courage and give all of your homunculuses +2/+2 till end of turn. Just make yourself a little army and then swing with a bunch of those. Mossborn Hydra, 3 mana, trample, 0/0. But it enters with 1/1/1 counter on it. And it's got landfall, and then whenever land you control enters, you double the number of counters on this creature. Jeez. It's so good. There's nothing not good about this. The art is also good. It's just man, I want this thing. Just because I like big green stompy, I like landfall, I like hydras. This fulfills all my dreams. Preposterous Proportions is great. Creatures you control +10/+10 in vigilance until end of turn. In this case, we've got squirrels. We might not be using squirrels. But whatever it is, your creatures will get just massive and then swing in for a bunch of damage. This might be the new Crater Hoof. It doesn't give it haste or trample or whatever, but hey, vigilance is pretty awesome. Raise the Past. 2 white, return all creature cards with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's just straight to the battlefield. If you've got a human deck, this thing's gonna go crazy. You just, somebody board wipes, gets to your turn, and you're just like, yep, there we go. We got all our creatures back. And they're all pretty cool. Man, I like it. Scrawling Crawler. More Phyrexian goop. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card, and whenever an opponent draws a card, that player loses a life. Stick this in Shieldred. I think that's what they were going for with it. Or Nekusar or whatever. And losing life, I like it. I like it. Punish people for drawing cards. Sky Knight Squire. This thing's really actually pretty bonkers. Just this grinning old cat guy. Whenever another creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and then as long as it has 3 or more +1/+1 counters, it has flying and is a knight. But the biggest part is whenever another creature enters. It doesn't have to be any specific things. It doesn't have to be non-token. So you can play Captain's Call or Hop to it. You're making 3 creatures at the exact same time. Yeah, you just get 3 +1/+1 counters right there, and then all of a sudden it's a 4/4 and it's flying and doing stuff. Soulstone Sanctuary, again another one everybody's talking about. It's just a land, but then you can make it into a 3/3 creature with vigilance that's all creature types forever. It doesn't turn back into a non-creature. It just stays as a big handsy guy. Spinner of Souls. It's a spirit spider with reach. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may reveal cards from the top until you reveal a creature, and you put that into your hand and the rest in the bottom. It's a May ability, so you don't have to do this, but I don't know. It's very suspicious if you don't do it. You're going to be putting all your cards into your hand, and all your creatures cards, I should say. And then boom, bada bing, bada boom, you replace your creature just about, and you put it in your hand, and get all the things you want in life. Sylvan Scavenging, pretty awesome. It's a raccoon, little trash panda guy. Beginning of your end step, you choose one, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, or create a 3/3 raccoon if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, making tokens or putting +1/+1 counters on a target creature. It's just a good time. You're just getting something for free at the beginning of your end step. Make this trigger twice somehow, or add extra counters or extra tokens, and this thing could be quite formidable. Zul Ashur Lich Lord. Ward, pay 2 life, so the ward cost isn't that expensive, but you know, it's an extra thing that you have to do. And you can tap it, and you can cast the zombie from your graveyard this turn. That's just great. Tapper, you get a zombie that you can cast, and that's just really good. It's just a free thing you can do. I mean, you still have to pay for the zombie, but get out of your graveyard, and this is just a great recurable way to do that. All right, that's it. Let me know what you guys think. What are your favorite rares from this set? And make sure you check out the TCGplayer affiliate link and the Milkman Proxy affiliate link as well for those proxy cards and playmats and all that stuff. Discount code in the description to get 15% off, and 15%, not 50, but 15. Anyway, we'll catch you guys next week for your weekly dose of magic.